Hello, agents. Welcome to the Ingress Insights podcast, hosted by PkmnTrainerJ. Ingress Insights aims to give you the latest news and updates about the Niantic Spatial game Ingress. Whether you're a veteran agent who has recursed 17 times or a brand new agent working to level 8, wondering what a fracker is, this is your place for the latest Ingress news and discussions. 2026 sees Ingress renewed under Niantic Spatial and many new campaigns to engage agents. So, plenty to discuss. Share any thoughts by checking our social media links. Now, over to Ada.
Additional intel available.
Hello, agents. This is an episode that's been recorded as a backup episode for when I'm not around, not able to do the podcast for 1 week or another for whatever reason. So if there's any news that's come out this week, it won't be covered in this episode, but it'll be back to normal the following week, presumably. For this week's episode, agents, I want to talk a bit about Antarctica and the forums and keys. So you may know what I'm on about, or you may have no clue at all. So just to jump back on things a bit, way back when Ingress held Camp Navarro events and events in other locations, players created sculptures. So they made things that you may have seen in the other podcast episodes. I know I talked with TS Morpheus, the creators of that, and moving that around. So similar sculptures like that were made as part of events for Ingress that people built in the deep redwood forest. These sculptures then got added as portals after the event so players could interact with them. And according to users I've read on Reddit, the teams got a special API access by Niantic to check the status of their portal and have the sculpture react to it, like changing light. So TS Morpheus changes colour based on who's captured it, things like that. And obviously lots of work put in, and agents want to keep keys of them as a souvenir, but obviously the sculptures would be destroyed, presumably afterwards, or relocated to somewhere else. So what the Niantic team did at the time is moved all of those portals that were at Camp Navarro to Antarctica. This then meant that agents still could keep the key for them, but couldn't interact with them because they're on basically a long strip of land in Antarctica where you're not going to be able to get out to them. So there's various ones like Epiphany Dawn, Glyphoselium, Liminal, Mrs. Mind Palace, the Patron, Temple of Light, Transvisionary Oracle, Viridi Cassida, various ones on there. I'm not going to go through all of them, but if you do have a key for them, they are typically on a long line in Antarctica, all set together. So why I want to bring this up is something that happened back on the old community forums for Wayfarer. So a user posted a thread that said fake Pokestop discovered during expedition to Antarctica. So a user posted a location up and said, recently I was on an expedition and traversed the glaciers of Antarctica. I was equipped with satellite internet, so I tried to download Pokemon Go and see if there were any Pokemons. Please don't say Pokemons, that's not right. Everyone shocked to discover a brazenly fake Pokestop. The place where it's located is covered in ice, and the only thing you can meet there is penguins. This Pokestop was made 5 years ago. How has no one noticed a pediferous deception for so long? Please remove this Pokestop, punish the person who added it, so no one else wandering the wilderness of Antarctica will stumble upon this horrible scam in the future. It's worth saying at this point, this person is very, very clearly a spoofer, so they had fake location services and things in the screenshots they included to show they weren't actually there. Some users looked them up and said, obviously it's weird, there were 15 portals there, all in a line. And then other users started to doubt the recently being on an expedition traversing the glaciers. And then someone else mentioned about the portals being moved to Antarctica as a proper actual thing that happened. Another user came in, build 2910, and said the portal was, as the description suggests, part of the 13 Magnus Reawakens Anomaly event Ingress. The portal was moved to Antarctica instead of being deleted, so people keep the keys to portals as memorabilia. Why Antarctica? Because realistically, no one will ever be able to go there legitimately to capture them. That way they stay in people's inventories. They can't be accidentally linked if someone was to go into otherwise. Also, please keep in mind spoofing is strictly against the Niantic/Pokemon Go term service and may result in action being taken on your account. Other people who chimed in, so Grace of Jarvis mentioned they were the team lead for the Spiritualist and Meditation Garden of St. Jarvis. This went on a bit further in the thread with others discussing things on there. And then, unfortunately, Niantic LC posted, hey, whatever the username was, we have reviewed the report and taken action on the way spots in accordance with our policies. Thanks for helping us maintain the quality of the way spots. So Niantic LC made an error and removed the portal, which then obviously the Ingress and Pokemon Go databases were linked, so that removed it from Ingress, which then meant that people lost their keys. So people were obviously peeved. NianticThia jumped on shortly after that on the forums to say, hi everyone, this was escalated and looked into immediately upon my being contacted. The portals were being reinstated the same day, and it wasn't until yesterday that I was informed they still weren't back online. We're looking into it and working to get them back online ASAP. Once they are, we will address missing keys. The thread on the Wayfarer forums went on for quite a while with a bit of back and forth between mostly Ingress players and mostly Pokemon Go players, obviously discussing why they should be there, why they shouldn't be there, and accusing the obvious spoofer of spoofing. Thread was finally closed after 7 pages worth. I'll link to it. You can read through it all yourself if you want to. It's on the web archive. And NianticThia closed it saying, hello explorers, I'll be closing the discussion. We've taken all the appropriate actions we can on the Wayfarer side. If there are still game-specific requests pending, please follow up on the appropriate channels. Eventually, shortly after this, NianticThia posted on the Ingress community forums and shared codes for keys that were in that line. So if you didn't have them before, you could now obtain them. If you'd lost them previously, then you could get them. And you were able to redeem the code for 2 copies of each key. So agents did have them available again, and those that didn't, as I say, it was nice to be able to gain them, because they did get deleted in the time that had been restored on there. So it was a very weird forum thread, and something that obviously wasn't looked into fully by the Niantic Wayfarer staff at the time. See whether those should have been removed and to check into this account for very blatant, obvious spoofing. So it was all pretty much resolved. But then on the new Wayfarer community forums, there was also a message from the same user, similar things, obvious spoofing happening. But this time they were saying, oh, it was a fake power spot that's been done because of how the things worked out, using the same TS Morpheus one and showing a screenshot of the power spot on there. But I think that was swiftly removed because it was, again, the same nonsense from the same spoofer. So nothing happened then. Obviously, in February of 2025, the databases were still linked. So it could have happened all over again. Fortunately, the databases are now split. So even if someone does report it and Niantic mess up again somehow and delete it, it'll only be deleted from Pokemon Go. I don't actually know if those are still in Pokemon Go, because obviously they were just there for Ingress to kind of keep. So maybe the Scopely team have now removed them entirely. I don't think there's really a map where I can check in Antarctica to see what's happened there. So yes, I just want to share this weird little thing from a few years ago that obviously reared its head briefly last year, and I'm thankful for NianticThia's quick actions on it to do that and get them reinstated. I don't know if the same thing would happen now when we don't have NianticThia. We don't have a community specialist, community manager to take on these concerns. We don't have community forums. It's just a case of shouting into the void on Blue Sky, which is not great. As I mentioned, I'll be back to normal kind of thing next week. So on the 8th of February, there'll be the usual episode with Ingress updates, Gamma updates, anything else we've got that's come up in the meantime. But for now, hope you all have a great Sunday, agents, and happy hacking. Thank you, agents, for listening to the latest episode of the Ingress Insights podcast. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can do that in a couple of ways. So the easiest way to support the podcast is via Patreon. So you can find it at patreon.com/ingressinsights. And there's a free tier, a $1 a month tier, whatever that is in your local currency, and a $5 a month tier. You can check out what benefits those come with on the Patreon. One other thing you can do that's totally free that helps out a lot is rating the podcast on your podcast service of choice. So where you can leave a rating or leave comments, that always helps increase visibility. And then finally, you can follow us on various social media channels. We use most of them, but the best one to follow us on now is Blue Sky. So that's just ingressinsights.bsky.social. Search for Ingress Insights on Blue Sky, you'll find us on there. Finally, sharing the podcast with friends, family, other agents who want to listen and get updates really helps out and helps get interviews with various Ingress people or other game-related people to then increase visibility more. So anything you can do from those is great. Thanks again for listening, agents. Have a great day.
Intel package transferred.